last year! Yay! Hi, I'm Heidi Anderson, and yes, happy last year. So I bet you're wondering, like, wait, aren't we supposed to, like, celebrate the new year that's here right now? So last year I was sitting at, with some friends of mine, and we were thinking on New Year's, and we were thinking about the year that had been, and one of my friends really kindly gave me some suggestions and some thoughts she had about places I needed to improve. And right away, I was like, I could feel in my whole body how that was really uncomfortable and how that really, it really affected me. And the whole last year had already been really difficult for me. It had been one of those years that had a lot of challenges, some health challenges, some things that just weren't a part of the way that I think that things should be. And I realized that my thoughts had created this idea about the year that had been and about all the things that were wrong and wrong with me. And so as an alternative, I suggested to my friends that, you know what, how about if we make a list of all of the things in all the different, like all the tiny things in our lives that were amazing from last year, that were like exciting and fun and joyous. So what we did is we have three different basic areas of our life. We have our work life, and that can be, the service, the way that you show up in the world. And then you have your relationships, so love. Work, you have love, and then you also have your energy. How do you take care of yourself? How do you exercise, sleep, eat, things like that? So what we did was we put a flower, and in the middle of each flower, one flower we wrote love, one we wrote work, and one we wrote energy. And then each little flower petal for each one of those, we wrote memories from the last year that were just really lovely, and the smaller the better. What we know from positive psychology is that it's not the big things in life that actually bring us joy, it's the small things. They looked at winners of the lotto, and that they were just the same amount of happiness after 10 years as they were before they won the lottery. And the things that actually brought them joy were the small memories that they had. And it's the same with a trip. It's actually planning for the trip, and all the small experiences of planning for the trip, they're actually more exciting than the actual trip. So this is the way that we work. So in each of these little flower petals then, write down things that brought you joy. So some examples from my life. I had decided that I really wanted to spend extra time with each one of my children. So I have 3 children, and my husband has 2 children, so that's 5 of them. So one of my teenagers had decided she's going to walk for 3 kilometers every single day. And she would often come and, forget about this until it was late at night. And she would come and be like, Mom, can you come out on a walk with me? And it's like late. And I had chosen that, okay, yes, I'm going to do this. When she asks, I'm going to go with her. And this is one of those things I remember. There was this one evening when I didn't really want to go, and she asked me, and I said, yes, okay, I'll go with you. And it was magical. The moon was shining. It was just beautiful. And the crisp air. And we had this really great talk with each other. So that was one of my little flower petals. Another one, I was out sailing in my sailboat. It's like this little tiny sailboat, but it was out sailing. And we had waited too long to come back, and so it was getting dark. But as the sun went down, it was the most incredibly beautiful sunset. It was like orange and gorgeous colors. And even though it was really cold, it was like, again, one of these little memories. And as I remembered it, I could actually feel in my body this warmth of joy from experiencing that. So another example would be in my work life. There was a class that I had really been wanting to hold for a long time, and I had been kind of nervous about doing it. It was a kind of an online class, and it was something new that I hadn't tried before, and I found technology and things like that really challenging. And then when the class was over, when the people were telling me what they'd gotten out of the class, when they were sharing with me and how this had changed their lives, how it had affected the way that they lived their life. Each person sharing was like Christmas. It was fantastic. It was such an amazing feeling. So in some of these petals, I have different people's names and what they shared for me. So those are a few examples of ways that in my life I have looked back and, written down these things. And what I discovered was this whole last year of this last year, I put this up on my wall. So this drawing, I put it up on my wall, and I looked at it every single day as part of my miracle morning, as part of my morning rituals. I looked at it and could feel into the joy of each one of these little experiences. And it really raised my experience of joy. So what I'd like to offer to you is to do the same exercise. So look back over the year that's been and really kind of pick all the little flowers, so you can make a flower garden of all these incredible experiences that have happened in your life. And this is even if your life has been really difficult and there's been hard things, these little moments, they exist for all of us. So that's the first thing. The second thing that I'd like to offer for you is to look over the year that has been and take a piece of paper like this and fold it in half this way. So it's the long way, like that. And on one side, write giving or energy. On the other one, say negative or taking away energy. And what I'd like you to do then is to write down all the different things that gave you energy this year. Everything that was, could be things with work. And again, pick these 3 areas of life. It makes it a lot easier. You've got love. How about in your love area and your relationships? What about work? In all the work areas, where did you get, positive energy? Where did it fill you up and give you nourishment? And in your personal energy, with your eating, your moving, your sleeping, what was positive for you? And then on the other side, again, going through these 3 categories, right? So what took away energy? What was really difficult or negative for you? And when you've done both sides and realizing that some things are going to end up on both sides, like children. My children end up absolutely on my positive, giving me energy side. And since there's a bunch of, 5 female teenagers, they also end up on the negative side of difficulties and things that take away energy. So in then opening this up and kind of comparing from one side to the other, what can you do more of that's in the positive side? What can you, how can you either do more of it physically, or how can you change your perspective and perception of the situation to experience more of it, to more joy of it? So even being more mindful, perhaps being more embodied, really feeling into the joy of whatever it is. And then on the negative or difficult side, what things can you get rid of? What things can you realize, this took away energy, and this, just take them away. Or if you can't get rid of them, like difficult children, how can you change your way of doing things? How can you change your own perception of those things so they're not quite as difficult? Perhaps giving them another story, or perhaps helping yourself to realize that it's creating resilience in you as you practice maybe having this other way of dealing with things. So in looking, in coming to the next year, into the new year, really taking a good look at, what worked and what didn't work. And having that kind of as a basis to help you to create a life filled with joy. And then also kind of taking care of and picking all the little joy bits, all the little flowers from the whole year, and putting them together in your own garden. So these are 2 ways that I hope that you can feel inspired to end the last year with gratitude and joy, to see, celebrate yourself for what was wonderful, and also to see, what have I learned? What did I learn, and how can I go on? So have a wonderful finishing of last year, and I look forward to hearing how this exercise has worked for you, and have a wonderful new year also. Take care.